In this video, I'm going to share one of my biggest pet peeves I have with so many parents: comparing your child to other children. I'm going to rant a bit on this topic. I cannot overstate how horrible this approach is for both you and your child. No one wins from this ridiculous game. Everyone is a loser. Your child is unique, one of a kind, distinctive, unlike any other. It doesn't matter if you have identical quintuplets and dress them all alike every day. Each one of them is a unique individual. Please don't succumb to the nonsense of comparing your child to other children. Now, any of these sound familiar? My Jason already has a 50-word vocabulary. Well, Susie started walking at 10 months. Oh, I can top that. Little Bernard smiled and said mommy when he was only 12 months old. Do you really believe any of these children care about these nonsense milestones? Do you actually believe they matter in any way, in any shape or form, in the long run? Do you somehow feel that those accomplishments are a sign that your child will go on to become a Harvard-educated doctor or a Supreme Court justice with a Yale law degree? I mean, think about it. You probably know parents who use these arbitrary accomplishments as proof positive that their little one is destined for greatness. For goodness sakes, don't do this to your son or daughter. Your job, what I consider to be the essence of your job as a parent, is to help your child be the best person they can be, not to be better than someone else. Let's look at this issue using artistic expression as a way of comparing children. Young kids learning to play a musical instrument often compete in their chosen instrument, piano or violin competitions, for example. Personally, I'm horrified by these competitions. I mean, why would anyone take the joy of learning to play a musical instrument and turn it into a competition? I lived for over 25 years of my adult life in Atlanta, Georgia, a big city with a great deal to offer. Over those years, I've had the privilege of watching some incredibly talented musicians. I loved going to small bars and listening to live music. It was often very clear to me which artists performed for the pure joy of playing their instruments and which ones felt they were somehow due success because of their talent. It's so much more enjoyable to watch a group of musicians play for the pure joy of it, versus the bitter artists that tell you between every song how they came so close to getting their big break, but they didn't. And of course, it was usually someone else's fault. Now, I can hear the responses now. In my life, my daughter will be competing with many people in many ways, and she needs to learn what it takes to compete. That's wrong. It's wrong, completely wrong. For most people, competition in life is for, let's say, a job or a promotion, maybe close a big sale. The winners of those competitions are, most often, decided subjectively. Our school-aged children are taught that winning in school is getting the highest grade. But as I'm sure you now know, there are no grades in life. Kids that focus too much effort on getting good grades are more likely to limit their learning. Learning, understanding, and comprehending the material is secondary to achieving a high score on a test or quiz. An overemphasis on grades discourages academic risk-taking and creativity. Do some research on this by yourself. Google it. You'll be surprised to find out the results of studies exploring that issue. Example, my wife studied medical records management in college. She graduated with a class of somewhere around 20 people in her major. She didn't have the best grades, and yet she got the one job that virtually every one of her fellow 20 graduates applied for. Why? Who knows? The choice was made based on some subjective quality she possessed. She won the job even though she was not the best student in the program and didn't have the highest grades. What was it in my wife that the hiring manager saw and preferred over the other candidates? It was likely a number of things. Most likely, it was intangible. It was an intangible quality. that the hiring manager couldn't even probably identify specifically if asked. I graduated from a New Jersey college, but immediately left to find a job in Atlanta, Georgia. After interviewing for over a year, I finally got offered a job. Why was I chosen over the other candidates? Because I was from New Jersey. The company was run by several guys from Jersey, and they felt more comfortable hiring one of their own. That's why I got the job. Determining the winner in an athletic event, it's simple. In the vast majority of sports, everyone understands why Team A won. Most goals, most points, quickest time. Life is rarely like that. As a parent, you need to stress to your child the real reward is trying your best, and most importantly, finding personal achievement and joy in the process of putting your best effort in. Most of us don't win that much in life, not in the conventional way. Only one person crosses the finish line first. Only one person gets the job or promotion. Only one person closes the big deal. Winning in real life is a personal matter. I love the endurance sports my son chose to participate in and continues to participate in. As I record this video, my son is preparing to run his first 100 miler, a true ultra run. If he finishes it, he'll have run for over 24 hours with little to no rest. There is no winning that race for him. He'll be nowhere near the top finishers. His win is just finishing it, if he does. That particular race has a historic failure rate of over 50%. Somewhere around 50% of the people that start that race will not finish it. The vast majority of participants at the starting line know they have no chance of standing on the podium. For most, just reaching the finishing line is winning. Difficult things are like that. The things that matter most are like that. What you need to teach your child is that when dealing with subjective wins, those types of competitions in which there's really no way to determine why the winner won, there is only the pursuit of doing your best. I believe in this approach even with games in which there are clear winners and losers, and I'll discuss that at the end of this video. Now, painting, drawing, photography, music, all forms of art that are fundamentally about personal expression, not winning. I strongly recommend every child be encouraged to pursue some form of artistic expression. It doesn't matter if you are good or bad at it. I have been playing guitar for over 30 years. I even played in a garage band for a few years. I loved it. It was so much fun, even though I was and will always be a hack, lousy guitarist. That didn't matter. Challenging your child to play a piece of music better than the neighbor kid is not teaching your child anything. That's about the parent getting some sense of victory over someone else. When my son was learning to play the piano, I would encourage him to play with the music. When he would finally master, let's say, a simple waltz, for example, I would challenge him to play it with a jazz or a swing feel, maybe bluesy. We would listen to the style of music I was recommending, and then he would play the waltz, the exact same notes, but apply the tempo, the cadence, whatever, to that different genre of music. I think he had more fun taking a song and trying to make it his own. That's art. That's expression. It's personal. I can't imagine having my son play his waltz and compete against another child to determine who played it best. Who cares? Why would anyone take a child's artistic expression and turn it into a competition? It's disturbing, it's sad, and ultimately it's detrimental to your child's development. How do you want to raise your child? You want to instill in them a competitiveness where success is only defined as beating others? It doesn't matter how many people will be competing in any given competition. There could be only one winner. As the old saying goes, there's no second place, only the first loser. Real winners find joy in the process, not necessarily the result. Consider instilling in your child a competitiveness to beat themselves, to constantly attempt to improve their own abilities. There's that learning to live at the boundaries of your abilities again. It's so important. In life, We don't really compete with others all that often. The vast majority of the competitions we encounter in our lives tend to be judged subjectively. And ultimately, the real winner is determined in our own head. Only you know if you really put in your best effort. Only you know if you gave it your all, which in my opinion is a more accurate definition of winning. I, for one, will never consider myself a loser because I didn't get a job I wanted or was passed over for a promotion. It doesn't matter that I'm a lousy guitarist. I enjoy just doing it. No one can take that pleasure away from me. I win by doing what I enjoy and constantly trying to get better at what I enjoy. Teach your child early on that real winners find enjoyment in the process. Preparation followed by action followed by self-reflection. If my son enjoyed photography, he could look at his pictures at the end of the day and decide for himself if he thought they were good or bad. He could decide for himself if he could have or would have done something different with a particular shot. Now, I told this story in an earlier video, but I'll repeat it here. My son ran track in his senior year of high school. At regionals, I overheard a parent talking about their daughter who was running at that very moment. In her race, the daughter finished next to last of maybe 15 runners, but the parent was very excited. I heard her say that her daughter had just run her PR, personal record. I saw the daughter glance up the clock, turn to the stands to give her mom a thumbs up. It didn't matter to her, to the daughter, that she was nowhere near medaling, nowhere near the podium. She had run her hardest and finished the race faster than she had ever done it before. That is a winner. I have no doubt that that young lady is already well on her way to being an ICD adult. Now, that's a mom I could relate to. More importantly, that's a person, the daughter, who will likely have a positive, healthy, passion-filled life. She learned at a young age that accomplishment comes from personal bests. I hope that the winners of that regional meet will come to terms with the fact that in life they aren't likely to win so definitively. I hope those winners don't feel repeatedly let down in their adult lives, because wins like that don't come very often, if ever, as an adult. Your child should be taught to compare a current effort with a previous effort. Being taught to compare yourself to others is a losing proposition. Having your child learn to challenge yourself at the boundaries of her abilities will lead to a fulfilling ICD adult life. Your job as a parent is to help them reach that point, that understanding. It's a big job, but it has a potentially big payoff. It's worth your effort and sacrifice as a parent to help them realize the joy and happiness that comes from being an ICD adult. That comparing their successes, their wins, with previous wins is the only way to know you are bettering yourself every day in every way. Thanks for listening.